You know, there's nothing like being in the green room, one of my favorite, and we really got green. Like behind him, he has green. Y'all see it hanging there, right, by the way, because typically I say we're in the green room and there's no green. But no, there's green and we're behind the scenes. And this is kind of where the magic happens. So Zander, you know, typically I don't like to read bios because I just don't do a good job reading bios, and we're here too long. So take a moment, if you will, and tell the folks who is Zander, and more importantly, what are you up to these days, my man?
Oh, great question. Well, the what are we up to these days is a bit different today than it was maybe I don't know 3-4 months ago. So these days, just hanging out with my wife in San Diego. We just got a new puppy. So learning how to be a fur baby parent, but. That's kind of what I'm currently doing. But so who Zander is, I'm the self-proclaimed coach of coaches. So I'm the CEO and founder of a company, High Impact Coaching. We've been in the entrepreneurial space for about 3.5 years now, but we help coaches build profitable businesses. It's our kind of big mission. I personally believe that coaches are kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to changing a lot of the issues in the world. So we want to make sure that we're arming coaches with all the things that they need to be able to do what they love full time and have a bigger impact. So that's what we're doing these days.
You know, you said do what they want to do full time, have a bigger impact. Let's just address the elephant in the room. We're in the worst pandemic for the last 100 years, certainly during our lifetimes. And I've been asking the question recently, what is the behind the scenes conversation that you've been having with your colleagues and clients to help them through this time that we would like to be privy to, man, if you don't mind kind of sharing that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Make no mistake, we're in very interesting times. We're in very different times. But I think one of the things that is very clear for anybody who's a successful entrepreneur, and specifically in the coaching space, is that with tough times and with change, there's always hardship and there's always opportunity, right? And I think this is something that you can't deny. You know, if you look at the Fortune 500, it's some ridiculous number. I think it's either 40 or 50% of the Fortune 500 was actually started during some form of economic recession or depression. Right? Because it's during tough times that leaders are truly made, right? And coaches are leaders at heart, right? And so what we're really seeing right now, and this is something that I have a lot of conversations with our team, with a lot of our clients. What we're really seeing right now is we're seeing a massive divergence. We're seeing a massive divergence over the last several years. It's been very easy to get into the coaching space because there hasn't been a lot going on, right? And essentially what's happening right now is we're seeing a divergence of essentially scarcity mindset and abundance and leadership mindset, right? Leaders are truly made in times of hardship and in times of difficulty. They're not made in times of plenty. And so the people who were really meant to be coaches are really stepping up, and we're seeing it, right? During this divergence, we're seeing a lot of people give up on what they wanted to do from a coaching standpoint. And then we're seeing a lot of other people step into that leadership role, and their businesses are absolutely taking off, right? So that's the big thing that we're noticing is this divergence. And, one of the things that you and I have talked about before is, we all have that ability to make a decision, right, around which direction we want to go. And it really is the people that are choosing to step up, become leaders, stop playing the victims, and start to make some amazing stuff happen that are just moving stuff forward massively and seeing the most success in this space that we've seen in years.
Wow. I mean, I love that. Now, I know that we're going to get started. What's up? Cynthia Green is out there, by the way. She's with a company, Marriage Built to Last. She's out there right now. Carol's watching right now. Jason, my man, look, you're in for a treat. I know. He's going to talk about, don't worry, profitable coaching businesses. He's going to talk about these steps that he has and why he does it. But before we do that, let me just ask him the magic question so we can just get it out the way. And then we got a show to get going. But y'all find out why, which is, what is his big why? Like, why is the guy even doing this? He could be doing other things with his life, but yet he decided he wanted to dedicate this to him. Let me give him a minute or two to give you the summary. And then when we get started, we're going to talk about really the 7-step blueprint to a profitable coaching business. But why do you do this, man? What's your big why? Get that out the way so they can all hear it.
That's a great question, man. I think, ever since getting into the coaching space, obviously one of the big things we all do is we really focus on our why and why we do what we do. And I think I've really developed that the function of Zander at my core is really to inspire and empower others to live their true purpose, their highest vision for themselves, living from a place of growth, love, and purposeful action rather than fear. I did an entire TEDx around this, but living in a world where we make 90 to 95% of our decisions based on purpose and love and growth rather than fear. I truly believe that if this world made more decisions that way, we actually might have a shot at solving a lot of this world's problems. Everything from socio-political stuff to the pandemics of the world to hunger to disease. We actually have a shot at solving these things if people started to make more purposeful decisions in life. So, for me, I know that I'm not going to be able to impact everybody in the world. But that being said, if I can impact the people that then go impact more people, I might through the ripple effect. So my big why is it's cliche, but I actually want to change the world.
Wow. Well, it starts with that vision, and you are doing it, man. You're changing the world one conversation at a time. That's what I admire about you most, by the way. Hey, thanks a lot, Cal, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Maria, John, it is always a pleasure. Look, we got a show. We come back. We'll be speaking to the one and only Zander Fryer. And yes, he's going to break down the 7-step blueprint to a profitable, he did say profitable coaching business. We'll be back in a few minutes. Let's get going. It's showtime. I can't. I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there. And they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Well, it's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And I believe you have 3 visions, by the way. I believe you have 3 visions. I believe first, you have a vision for yourself. The clothes you want to wear, the organic food that you want to eat, the home you want to live in, and it takes resources, which means it takes revenue, by the way. It takes revenue. And I believe you have a second vision. I believe you have a vision for your loved ones, the people you love the most. Mother dear is still here on this planet. She celebrated her 73rd birthday just 2 weeks ago, and it was nothing more cool than being there. But prior to that, me being to provide resources and she could order stuff online. And she's gotten really good at that, by the way. And it takes revenue. And some of you have your kids you want to send to the school of your choice. We heard Zander talking about this fuzzy little thing he got running around right now. It takes resources to take care of that stuff, by the way. And the third vision that I believe you have is I believe you have a vision for the people you were called to serve. And I like to use the analogy of Noah. You don't have to be a believer, but I happen to be a believer. But there's Noah in the Bible. And I want you to imagine that before Noah gets started, he's got all the experience. He has the expertise. He's ready to go. And before he gets going, there's a knock at the door. And he's like, what's going on? Excuse me, Noah. We just want to let you know that there are no hammers in the house. No hammers. No big deal. We just keep on going. Noah, pardon me over here. Pardon me over here. Yeah, what's up? There are no nails either. No nails in the house. No hammer, no nails. Rule number 1, we never panic. We don't. What is going on? No, I'm sorry. This is the last time. We promise we won't disturb you again. There are no people to put the boat together, and there's no wood. Good luck on this mission. And that might be you out there. You got the purpose. You got the passion. You believe so much, but you don't have no resources. So you can't hire a website person. You can't hire an automation person. You can't go out there and get the things you need. And this morning, this evening, this afternoon, no matter what time it is for you, Zander Fryer showed up for one reason and one reason only, Crystal Cunningham, and that is to give you the resources. So Zander, what's up, my man? How you doing out there in San Diego, California?
I'm doing well, man. It's hard to be bad in summer in California, so I'm doing well.
Well, good, man. We're excited to have you here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show, but I got to jump into it because watching right now are speakers, authors, coaches, trainers, network marketers, folks that own their own business, and you've got the first line, and ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been to his website. You're going to download it. He says 95% of coaches won't make it full time. That's a bold statement. He says They don't have business expertise and they don't have coaching expertise. Take a moment and talk about why you picked this up to be the mantra for your company, High Impact Coaching, so that folks can do that. Why are you doing this?
100%. I think, again, like we talked about, to me, the success of coaches is at the core of my beliefs. I believe if we want to change the world, coaches have to be successful, right? Now, if you want to be successful, the first thing we got to do is we got to get clear on our faults and why we're not successful. So one of the things that everybody will learn very quickly about me is I don't like to sugarcoat shit, right? And if it's true, it's true, right? And the truth is 90 to 95% of coaches will end up shutting down their doors before they make it to the 3-year mark. 90 to 95% of coaches will shut down their doors before they make it to the 3-year mark. And it's not because they're not great coaches, right? Most coaches that get into it, they get into it for all the right reasons. They're amazing people. They want to serve. They want to help. They've got great skill sets, great expertise that this world badly needs, right? I think the big problem that coaches are not willing to admit to themselves is if you want a successful coaching business, there's two halves to that. You have to have the coaching expertise, of course, but you also have to have the business expertise. Without the two, you will never be successful. And what most coaches don't realize is the business expertise is actually more important, right? Without the business expertise, you can never coach, right? Without being able to attract and position yourself and market and enroll clients, there will never be people for you to actually work with and transform their lives. So as much as coaches like to believe that the most important thing for them is to develop themselves as a coach, that's 100% opposite of what is actually necessary. You have to develop yourself as a business owner, and that's what allows you the opportunity to coach. And until coaches start to learn this, we'll continue to have 95% of coaches not be able to make it full time. They have to quit their dream and go back to a 9-to-5 and work at a 9-to-5, rather than being able to do this full time, make an income that they can afford the nice organic food, afford the travel with their family, afford to send their kids to nice schools, and continue to be able to help people while they do that.
Yeah. Take a moment, if you would, and since you mentioned that, what did you believe is one of the challenges that just holds them back for getting on track? So they might be saying, whoa, he's right on the mark. But what holds most folks back from saying, you know what, I'm going to go out there, and we'll talk about that later. I'm going to go out there, as you talk about, I'm going to go out there and generate leads. I'm going to go out there and set appointments. What holds most coaches back? Why don't they not get the business expertise part of it?
Two really big things that come to mind as soon as you say that. Number one is they like learning about coaching. It's super simple, right? It's like
funny.
Coaches love self-development. Coaches love learning about coaching. It's something they're very passionate about, right? Mm-hmm. So that's it, inherently, this is what humans do. Humans do what they like to do. And if you like learning about coaching, you're going to go spend all your time learning about coaching. Now, the problem with this is most coaches end up down this like ruthless cycle of like, go get a certification, go, watch all the content from your favorite guru and just absorb for months, years, and they just keep going down that path. So that's the number one thing is like they enjoy focusing on the coaching content because it's something that they like doing. Now, I could actually make an argument that this is just as bad and just as unproductive as, binge watching Netflix, right? Because frankly, whether you're binge watching Netflix or whether you're binge watching certification, going through certification training programs, neither of them are going to help you build your business and get to more people. And don't get me wrong, certifications have their place and it's helpful for you to become knowledgeable. And we always want to progress ourselves. But again, most coaches are not underdeveloped from a coaching standpoint. They're underdeveloped from a business standpoint, right? So that's number one, is they enjoy going through the coaching stuff. You're going to, inherently lean towards the things that you enjoy to do. The second thing is they're afraid of failure, right? And most coaches, whenever I say this to coaches, every single coach is like, no, Zander, I know that failure is on the way to success. I know this. Yeah, I don't care whether or not you know this. In practice, you're not practicing it, right? The truth is, like, knowledge is not power. Implemented knowledge, executed knowledge is actual power. And every single coach knows that failure is on the way to success. They know that they need to fail more. They know they need to take risks and take chances. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to actually live it. And what we've seen is that a high majority of coaches actually suffer what we call perfection paralysis, right? And it's this idea that you have to get something perfect or as close to perfect as possible before you actually put it out into the world. Now, as you or I know, this is the killer of all business, right? Success in business, success loves speed, right? And, I come from an engineering background. So, to me, this idea of like a minimum viable product, like put out the minimal crappiest product you can, honestly, so that you can get market feedback and you can learn and make the product better. Most people don't understand this concept because if you think about how people were programmed in school, you've only got one shot at the test. You've only got one shot at the project. When you're in a 9-to-5, you've only got one shot to impress your superiors in the presentation. This doesn't work in entrepreneurship. You have multiple shots and you will never get it perfect on the first shot. And if you don't start taking shots and failing and messing up and being okay with that, you're always going to be stuck at ground zero.
Always stuck at ground zero. I love it. That goes with one of your core principles, which even the wrong decision is better than no decision, and that indecision and inaction is the only true way to tell. For those folks that are out there right now, and I'm sure Zander would be okay with this, hit the share button, hit the watch party button, and I want you to pay this message forward. You can share this with your tribe. You can share this on your page. If you're watching on iTunes right now, or Apple TV, or Amazon Fire, and you can't do it, that's okay. Go to the Facebook right and just pay the message forward. And when you hit the button, right away, and that little box comes up, write these words: serve plus add value. Hashtag Zander Fryer. That's why he's here today. Serve plus add value. Hashtag Zander Fryer. He didn't ask for a Cash App payment before we got started, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't say you must give me a check or wire some money. He said, I'm there to serve, and you're here. So one of the ways you can give a digital applause is we believe in the giver's economy. The person that outgives the competition out-earns the competition. Hit the share party, hit the share button, hit the watch party button. Pay that message forward right now. Now I'm going to ask him. He says, I can't get to all this evening, but the 7-step blueprint to a profitable coaching business. So if you're out there right now, you're like, it's time for me to serve and get paid, you can do that. If it's time for you to make more, have more meaning in the world and more money, well, you can do that as well. Now's that time. So Zander, if you will, for Sherry Giddens is out there watching right now. Cheryl Graham, who's out in California where you are. Mary Lowe Mitchell is out there right now. Crystal Cunningham is in the house. Thanks for taking notes. Teresa Davis, they're writing notes as fast as you're talking, by the way. They're in the house. Take a moment and give us maybe one idea. You're going to give us 3, but give us one idea that's part of this 7-step blueprint to a profitable coaching business.
That's a big one. So we'll start, I think, probably one of the most important things that I always mention when it comes to building a profitable coaching business is you have to start with a solution. One of the biggest things coaches doing is they design a coaching business around a process, not a solution. People don't buy a process. Nobody buys life coaching. Nobody buys health coaching. Nobody buys career coaching. They're buying a solution to a problem that they have. And if you don't learn what the problem is and what your solution is to solving that problem, you're going to have a very difficult time actually building a business. So you hear a lot of people say, like, you need to niche down, right? Or you need to find your market, or things like that. It's a lot more than just finding a niche and finding a market. You need to find an audience that has a problem, and you need to position your coaching in a way that actually solves that problem, that specific problem, right? You know, when you realize that people aren't buying life coaching, they're not buying health coaching, they're not buying fitness coaching, they're buying a solution to a problem. One of my favorite stories to tell is, like, say we have like a health and wellness coach, right? Mm-hmm. That has been, trying to sell their health and wellness coaching, and maybe they're getting a couple clients at $100 per month, or $200 per month, or $300 per month. They're making coffee money. They're putting a lot of work into it. We've taken those health coaches and helped them position themselves towards a concrete solution. Let's say, and one of my favorite ones is weight loss, right? Weight loss, the biggest commodity in the world right now. Weight loss. Jenny Craig's doing it for $30 a month. Weight Watchers is doing it for $45 a month. So everybody's like, well, I can't compete with that. But if you position yourself as someone who can actually help with the solution, because a lot of people who do Weight Watchers, a lot of people who do Jenny Craig, they don't get a permanent solution. They might lose a little bit of weight, but then they get it right back on. It's yo-yo dieting, right? If you can help someone permanently change their behavior and lose weight for good, right? We have clients of ours that are charging $3,000, $5,000, even $8,000 for weight loss programs, and they're making, $500,000 a year for weight loss because they're positioning themselves as a solution to a problem rather than just a health coach or rather than just a fitness coach, right? When you position yourself for the process, you become a commodity. When you position yourself as the solution, you can charge what you're really worth.
I like that. Charge what you really would. And we hear that often. If you're out there right now and it's time for you to be paid more for what you know that you can do, so you can be charged what you're worth, just look right below the video. And just write those words. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to serve, because you're going to solve a problem and people will pay you today if you solve a problem. He just laid the case out. Take a moment, if you will, and give us number 2. But first, you look right below the video and write those words. Write those words. I'm ready to serve. Just put, I'm ready to serve. All right, give us step 2 in this process, Zander. And once again, man, thanks a lot. I know this is something that you do behind the scenes. They're going to go out and find your website, and we'll get to all that good stuff out there. But right now, all of you, tune in. Watch with new eyes. Listen with new ears, because for many of you, this is the missing piece. You need to have money in your business to do the things you want and get the resources. All right, Zander, give us another step in your 7-step process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, before I get to step number 2, I just want to kind of echo something that you just said, which I think is invaluable, right? It's that, and especially a lot of starting entrepreneurs, a lot of people in the coaching space, because we are servant leaders, right? We do this to serve others. A lot of us have had this very negative programming around money, around bringing in an income and charging people, and we never want to appear salesy. We never want to manipulate people or whatever, right? Like all these negative connotations with money and sales. And I think the first step there too is even just like shifting your belief around what money and what sales is, right? And I think I love what you just said. Like, we personally obviously need money to take care of ourselves so that we can go take care of others, right? That whole idea of you can't pour from an empty cup. But the second thing that has really helped me shift my mindset ever since becoming an entrepreneur is I legitimately view money as an ID marker, right? What is money? Money is just a physical or digital placeholder for social value, right? When before this whole quarantine, when I used to love traveling, if I wanted to fly somewhere and I didn't have a service that I could give to United or Delta or whatever, I would give them money so that they would give me a ticket so that I could fly somewhere. I'm giving them money as a physical or digital placeholder for social value, right? Now, if that's what money is, then what we have to realize is that the more money we make is literally just an ID marker of the value we're bringing to this world, you make more money, it means inherently you are bringing more value to this world. People pay you more money, you're bringing deeper value to that individual. You're having more people pay you money, you're bringing more value to a broader group of people. You do both, you're doing both. So you can literally count your impact by the money that you are bringing into your business. So I think that's something that I love that you mentioned that, because I want to just echo that before we get into number two, which to me, number two is something that I call starting from the top. So this is a very controversial idea that we introduced into the marketplace a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, and has completely transformed the coaching industry. So there's a lot of coaches out there that one of the things that I hear all the time is like, Zander, if I could do this for free, I would. And so what I want to do is I want to charge the least amount possible so that I can get to the most people, right? And the reality is that most coaches and most entrepreneurs don't realize that just because you charge less doesn't mean you're going to get to more people, right? If you're shitty at marketing and you're shitty at sales, it doesn't matter if you're charging $100 or you're charging $10,000. Nobody's going to buy your stuff, right? And so what most people don't realize is charging less doesn't get you to more people. But not making enough money is a guaranteed way to kill your business. And so one of the principles that we teach our clients is something that we refer to as starting from the top. So if you want to have a six-figure coaching business, let's call it 10K a month. We'll call it 10K a month just to kind of make it easy, right? And you're just starting off. The generic way of doing it is, let's say you do $100 an hour and you've got a client once a week or something like that. So this client is roughly $400 a month, roughly. Now, in order for you to get to 10K a month, that means you have to have 25 clients that you're working with. That's 25 hours of coaching per week. Now, what most people don't tell you is that on top of that, you have the administration, you have the marketing, you have the promotion, you have the selling, which is normally 2 to 3x what you're doing just from a coaching standpoint. So 25 hours of coaching actually translates to about 75 to 100 hours worth of work per week. Mm-hmm. That is a hell of a lot of work to do for, barely making enough money to get by there. Now, the even more difficult side of that is what people don't tell you is by traditional means, if you're using landing pages and you're doing, the traditional sales process of trying to enroll people like that, you're gonna have conversion rates of 1%, 2% if you're really good. So let's think about this. If I want to get 25 people and I have a 1% conversion rate, that means I have to have an audience of 2,500 people. Now, when you're first starting off, it is very difficult to connect with 2,500 people, right? So one of the principles that we started with, and this is the reason, when I first started my coaching business, I quit my corporate job. I put myself into a lot of debt, and we'll probably get into that story as well. Put myself into a lot of debt, was almost, not able to pay rent. And my third month in business, I made 13K. My next month, I made 17. The next month, I made 24, then 32, and then it just kept going up from there. And the reason that I was able to do this was because I did something that I refer to now as starting from the top, right? And what this means is I know that my value that I bring to the world is worth more than $400 a month, right? If you're a life coach that's just completely transforming people's lives, if you're a health coach that is, helping people with weight loss or with autoimmune disorders or anything health related, you're literally saving their lives. Like some of you guys are literally curing cancer, right? From a business and executive coaching, there's so much value that everybody's bringing to this world, right? And it is worth so much. And when we think about it, if I was to ask every coach, like, when you completely change someone's life, what is that worth to them? The answer is almost invariably priceless, right? And when I ask, like, what do you think you should be charging? Most people say somewhere between $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. But the fact is they just don't know how to charge those kind of prices. Now, that's where we need to work, is helping you learn how to charge those kind of prices. Because if in the very beginning, you can start from a price range of, let's say, 3, 4, or 5K, let's say $3,500, right? If you can charge $3,500 per client, right? Now, to get to that 10K mark, you only need 3 clients, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that's, if we use those same numbers, that's roughly 3 hours of coaching a week. That's roughly 9 to 12 hours of actual work per week. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're able to convert at, let's say, a lot of our clients convert at somewhere between 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4, right? Then really you only need an audience of somewhere around 12 max to be able to hit those numbers. So we see coaches with Instagram followings of 300 with 6-figure businesses, because you don't need the entire world to be able to get there. You just need to start from the top and know how to convert.
I like that, man. That is spot on. It's super on target. For those folks that are out there, you listen to the one and only Zander Fryer, and he's talking about high impact coaching, but he's also breaking down really how to really have a 7-figure profitable, and I'm saying profitable, but you follow his 7-step blueprint, and I believe it's going to lead you to 7 figures, right? But first, he wants to make sure you're profitable, which means you have more money coming in than going out. That means there's cash flow, and that will give you the resources that are necessary so you can execute the vision that you have for the things that you want to do. And I get it that money is not everything, but when you have more money, you can make more meaning in the world. You can have more impact. You can have a greater difference.
There's something amazing that happens when you get past, there's like a scarcity point, right? And there's something amazing that happens once you get past this scarcity point and you start to have excess cash flow. And we've seen it be somewhere between 60K to 100K. And once you have this excess cash flow, the world starts to really open up to you. And just like you mentioned, you start to be able to play towards that vision much, much more.
Yeah. It feels good when you can hire people. It feels good when you can serve more folks, and it feels good when you can write a check for the causes that you believe in. And at the end of the day, isn't that why you became an entrepreneur? Because you knew out there that you could have more impact, and the income will happen. That's very, very true. Last time, and I know you've given us so much of your precious time, give us one more idea. I always like to ask for 3 ways, by the way, that folks can do something. He's given probably about 40 ideas on here, by the way. He's kind of dropping them. They're like these golden nuggets that are bouncing all over these fiber optic lines right now. But I know there's more, because this is what he does. And right now, as you're tuning in, hit the share button. If you're out there watching, saying, this is great, this is fun, this is not an intellectual conversation. This is a money conversation. There'll be another time when someone will get you pumped up and excited, and you'll feel good about yourself. But for those folks that wrote these papers to the government, and you have an enterprise, and you want to be profitable, then that's what Zander's talking about. And I say that with all seriousness. So hit the share button, hit the watch party button, but keep that in there. Serve plus add value, hashtag Zander Fryer. Do that right now. Hit the share button. Hit the watch party button. Do it now. When? Now. All right, Zander, give us the third step, a third idea that they can do towards moving towards a profitable coaching business, man. This is what you do every single day, and you love it. You see, guys start smiling. The minute he starts sharing it, he just starts smiling. I know he's crazy, but this is what he enjoys.
Little bit crazy. I'm also smiling because you mentioned when you make more money, you get to do the things that you really care about, right? And so it just brought to mind some of the things that I get to do because I make money. I've done a lot of work at homeless shelters in downtown Los Angeles and doing workshops for free. Why? Because I have time flexibility and financial flexibility. I spend my Decembers doing Toys for Tots events. And so the reason I was smiling is you literally reminded me of last December when we were doing a Toys for Tots event. And I literally got to childhood dream running down one of the aisles with a big shopping cart, just my arm sweeping the entire shelf of Marvel action figures into the cart as I ran it out the store.
That's cool, man. That's like some cool stuff.
Literally, it's probably the crowning moment of my entire life, being able to do that. I had my now wife film it, and you look back at my face, and there's you'll never see someone with more joy. You want to talk about the happy entrepreneur? That is the happy entrepreneur. So that kind of brings me to number 3, which I think, in my opinion, in this world, and especially I think a lot of people are feeling it right now with different stages of lockdown and quarantine and everything. In a world where we are so quote unquote connected, we've never been more disconnected. And so the third tip that I would give to everybody is when it comes to building your business, make it personal. And what I mean by that is make it personal when connecting with your potential clients. Make it personal when connecting with your audience. Get in there, have conversations with them, know them very well, build relationships with them. You've heard it time and time again. People buy from people who they know, love, and trust. And this is the reason. This is the reason why, we see so many coaches being able to build six-figure, multiple six-figure, and now seven-figure businesses with audiences that you would think are minuscule compared to a lot of the influencers out there. But it's because if you take the time to really connect with people, all of these people that are out there on social media and watching your content, each one of them is not a number. They are a person. And when you take the time to intimately connect with them, I will promise you that intimacy will beat authority every single day of the week. So, this is why, for me, I was able to scale my business to seven figures within 12 months, even though virtually nobody had heard of me, right? It was because I didn't need a big audience. In fact, I didn't even have a website by the time we hit the seven-figure mark, right? But because I was able to build intimate relationships with people, because I actually cared. I actually cared to find out about who they were, what was going on in their life, what problems they had, and I genuinely wanted to help them solve those problems. If you focus on building intimacy into your business and into your marketing and connecting with your potential clients, and just like you mentioned, serving and adding value before anybody even pays you, you are never going to be hurting for clients and you're never going to be hurting for business.
Man, I love it. Love what you're doing, man. I love the difference you're making in the world. One of the core beliefs that we have, one of our core values here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show is today is my January 1st. And for those folks that know what segment we're going to go into, you can look right below the video right now. You can write those words. Today is my January 1st. And for those first that want to know, what is Shay talking about? Like, what in the LL Cool J is he saying over there? Well, today is my January 1st represents one of those moments in time where you don't wait for the calendar to say January 1st. You create a January 1st moment. And it happens a lot throughout the day. Like, there are these moments, probably 1,000+ moments throughout the day, and you get to make a decision. And that decision could forever change the trajectory of your life. So you make a decision that you're going to work out. Plenty of time to do that now. Plenty of time. Or I'm going to binge watch Netflix. I love Netflix, but you're going to binge watch. Or you make a decision that you're going to eat hamburgers and French fries, salt, pepper, and ketchup. You got to have the salt, pepper, and ketchup. You just got to have it. Or you go to your refrigerator, you open it up, and there's some kale in there, and there's some broccoli in there, and there's some, yes, Brussels sprouts. That sounds good. So today is my January 1st is a do-over. It's a fresh start. It's your past does not equal your future. So with me saying that, Zander, as you're listening, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, as Kristen is writing that down right now, and April's writing that down right now, and Sherry and so many folks, when you hear those words, what does it mean to you? What pops in your mind? Today is my January 1st.
Oh man, I think the first thing that really pops into my mind is how you do anything is how you do everything, and how important all the little decisions that we make are. I think you bring up a really good point. It is, for us as human beings, it is one of the things that makes us unique. Is that just like you mentioned, at any single moment, we have the power to completely transform who we are and the direction that we're going in a single moment. It just makes a decision. Now, it makes a powerful decision, or it takes a powerful decision, but all it takes is one decision. And I think one of the things that I always think about is, for me, whenever I find myself going down a wrong path, it's seemingly the granular, really small decisions that I'm making that are the most impactful because they influence the bigger decisions. And so what I've found is, how I do anything is how I do everything. So, like you mentioned, if I'm going to the gym and I was supposed to run 3 miles and I stop at 2.8, right? Well, where else in my life, in my business, in my relationship with my wife, where else am I stopping, just shy of the goal line? Right? If I'm just like you mentioned, if I'm telling myself that I'm going to have a healthy breakfast and then I break it and I go get donuts or something like that, I break an agreement with myself, right? Your agreements with yourself are one of the most important agreements to make, because every time you break an agreement with yourself, if I break an agreement with myself to go eat healthily for breakfast, then when I tell myself, oh, I'm going to go hit, 20K a month or 30K a month in my business, your subconscious goes, no, you're not. You just lied to me and said that you were going to eat healthy. How can I trust you that you're going to go hit 30K in your month in your business? Not going to happen. You're a liar, right? So you're telling your subconscious that basically you're untrustworthy, right? So it really brings me back to like all the little decisions that we can make in our lives, and how they really truly are little mini microcosms for our business, our life, our relationships as a whole. So for me, when I think about, today being my January 1st or tomorrow being my January 1st, I pick little decisions to start with. I pick waking up when that alarm goes off early in the morning. I pick, making sure that if I tell myself I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes, I sit through the whole 10 minutes. I make sure that, if I tell myself I'm going to do 4 sets at the gym, I do all 4, right? So it's those little things that really add up to the long term of making sure that this January 1st actually lasts an entire 12 months.
Love it, man. I love it. You keep talking about it's the little things and doing one more step. And that's so true. And you may have heard this because sometimes there's truth inside of truisms. And one of the truisms is that consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, what do most people struggle with most? Well, my hand is raised. They struggle with consistency. So my question is, as you were saying that, people were getting excited like they were back on December 31st after a couple of drinks, by the way, on the back of a napkin. They started writing down their New Year's resolutions. And for some, it worked out. For others, like, oh my God, I don't know what I wrote down. Here's the question to you. What do you share with your clients in order for them to be consistent in the hashtag stay the course?
Yeah. First thing, 2 things real quickly there. First thing is, just like you mentioned, is just understanding that consistency is key. So like whenever people say that, I'm always like, well, do you understand why? Right? And for me, I always tell people, success isn't sexy, right? It's just not. We all want success to be this sexy new shiny thing that we do, and all of a sudden everything explodes and it's this beautiful rocket launch into space. But it never is. Success is not sexy. It's ruthless mastery of the basics and the things that work. Well, what does it take to master something, right? It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that, you get lucky with. Mastery is something that happens with consistency, putting in the reps over time, getting better, getting feedback, working on yourself, and doing the same thing over and over again. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell talks about, it takes 10,000 hours to master something, right? That is not fun. 10,000 hours is not exciting to anyone. That is hard work. But it's the truth. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, like I'll tell you right now, 10,000 hours, right? A lot of people, it was super interesting because I actually started to look at some of these calculations around like how long it took some of our clients to get to certain levels in their business and where they'd put in, time before. And the 10,000 hour line actually shows true, right? We see people's businesses drastically taking off to 7 figures right around the 10,000 hour mark. Right? And we even ran that into my personal business. We're like, well, how come I was able to build to a 7-figure business in 12 months, right? You can't actually, if you're working 8-hour days, you can't get to 10,000 hours in 12 months, right? But I wasn't working 8-hour days. I was working 16 to 20-hour days. And when I was sleeping, I was dreaming about entrepreneurship, right? So if you take 24 hours in a day and you span that across an entire year, you actually have somewhere around 9,000 hours. Right? And so what we've learned is it takes ruthless mastery of the basics to get there. So, a couple things for people to actually start to be able to implement that. The first thing that I would say is something that psychologists refer to as delayed gratification. Right? Now, we live in a world where our phone is so prevalent that on average, people spend something like, it's something ridiculous, like 2.5 hours a day just on like social media, right? Because instant gratification, it's that dopamine hit that hits our brain over and every time we pick up our phone just to check and open the app. we get a dopamine hit. It's instant gratification. This is actually programming us not to be consistent for the long term because we're getting instant addictive hits of dopamine. So the sooner we can realize that it's incredibly important for us to delay our own gratification. Whenever we want something, whenever Zander wants to, I talked about being a big self-development fan. Well, I'm a coach, so I love self-development, right? But I use that as my dessert. When I want to go watch something self-development, right, I'll say, okay, I got to go do X number of minutes or an hour of working on marketing and on sales before I can go watch some self-development stuff. We were just talking about the gym and things like that. I actually love going to the gym. So a lot of people hate going to the gym. So you say like, go to the gym first thing in the morning, right? But I actually enjoy going to the gym. So what I did is I stopped going to the gym first thing in the morning. And the first thing that I would do is I would spend 2 hours on what I call my one thing. It's basically my one thing that if that's the only thing I accomplish for the day, I would consider the day a success. So I spend 2 hours on that and just that. And it's not till I'm done with that do I allow myself to go to the gym. So the first thing that can really help for consistency is what's referred to as delayed gratification. The second thing that can really help with consistency is, well, frankly, coaching, right? I'll just be forward about it. It's coaching. And I'm not trying to sell my coaching services here because it's just the truth. I have never been without a coach in my entire career, and I can swear by the fact that it is the reason that I've been successful because there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to do in the business. But if I have a coach to keep me accountable to doing the things that I don't want to do, I'm going to do it, right? Now, the key here is you have to have somebody that you deeply do not want to disappoint as your coach. You have to have someone you look up to. You have to have someone that if you tell them you're going to go do X, Y, Z tomorrow, you're going to go do it. Because if you don't and you have to go tell them you didn't do it, you're not going to feel great about it. So having somebody who can keep you accountable to doing the things that you need to do. I had a mentor of mine who I paid 50 grand. I paid him 50 grand and he didn't teach me a new thing at all when I was working with him. But one of the best coaches I ever had. You know why? Because he scared the shit out of me. And I never wanted to tell him that I didn't do the thing that I said I was going to do. So for that reason, I accomplished almost everything I set out to do and grew the business by 70% that year while I worked with him.
Oh, man, that's cool. For folks that are out there, they're listening right now and they're tuned in and they may be wondering, okay, 2 questions. I know it's in the back of their mind. One, what type of clients does Zander work with? And number 2, which I think is even more importantly, how can we best connect with him? And so take a moment, if you would, and kind of share your clients. And as you're watching and listening, maybe Zander's for you, and he's going to share how to connect with you. And maybe he's someone that you can refer to someone else. But don't worry, you're going to learn the best way to connect with him right now. So Zander, take a moment and go ahead and answer the questions on their mind right now.
Sure. So obviously we work with coaches, right? So the big thing for us is about. I'd say about 2/3 of the coaches we work with are brand new. They're either still in 9-to-5s or just getting their coaching business up and running. And we're really focusing on helping them, like we talked about, get profitable, get to that, 6-figure mark and really get moving so they can do this full time. And then the second group of coaches, probably 25% of the coaches that we work with are already earning 6 figures or multiple 6 figures, working their way to $500,000. Or, we have several of our coaches that we're working with right now that are beyond the 7-figure mark, go into multiple 7 figures as well. But really we're working with coaches, helping them get to that next level. I think the big thing that I always remind people is what we do is not for everybody. It's really, it's for people that are action takers, that are ready to be decisive and get out of their comfort zone. Because like I mentioned, we do things very differently than a lot of people. It's for people who are ready to be coachable because frankly, a lot of the time I tell people the truth, which isn't always what they want to hear.
Right.
And then number 3, they got to be people that are doing it for the right reasons, right? I think, and we've kind of talked about it, but we can help anybody make more money, but it's not about just making more money. If you're here to just make more money to make more money, those aren't the type of people that we want to work with, right? We want to work with people that are here to make more money and help people while doing it. So those are really the types of people we love working with and we see the best results with. In terms of where you can connect with me, you can go to zanderfryer.com, ZanderFryer.com. Check us out there. You can connect with me directly there. We have a little messenger in the corner, or you can shoot me an email from our contact page. I'm happy to chat with anybody and help you kind of get clear and get focused on what you need to be focusing on to move your business forward. But those are probably the best places to get to me.
Fantastic, man. I'm loving what you're doing, man. I love your heart to give, your heart to serve. We're moving to a segment as we're coming down the home stretch called Rapid Fire. And I love Rapid Fire because I get to ask whatever questions on my mind, and you've got 2 minutes or less to answer the question. 2 minutes or less. I hear the audience. They like less better than 2 minutes. But, I'll let you be the judge of it. But the question I love to ask when folks are there, because I love learning as well. I'm one of them junkies that you talked about earlier. I've got a problem. But the question is, what is your number one key to success? I know with all those books behind you, by the way, and all the hours you spent learning, if you had to boil it down and say, Shay, this is my number one key to success that I want to share with the audience. And as those folks are out there listening right now, if you haven't hit the share button yet, hit the share button. If you haven't hit the watch party button as a way of giving a digital applause to Zander, hit the watch party button. Pay this message forward to another coach, another entrepreneur, and someone out there that needs the benefit so they can grow their business. And Zander's a great person to connect with. All right, man, your number one key to success. I love it. It's my favorite. They're all my favorite questions, but this is really my favorite question.
I like this one. I think my number one would be discomfort equals growth. So I think when I first started my business, when I quit my 9-to-5 and I started my coaching business, I got clear on some things that were absolute truth. Number one, I was not where I wanted to be. Number two, if I wasn't where I wanted to be, that means I needed to grow as a person, right? Jim Rohn says, for us to have more, we have to become more. So I needed to become more. Number three, in order to become more, you have to grow. And in order to grow, you have to get out of your comfort zone. As you get out of your comfort zone, this is what causes you to grow. So basically, what I learned was the more uncomfortable I was, the faster I got uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable that I was, and the more often I was uncomfortable, the faster I would be able to reach my dreams. So every single morning I woke up and I asked myself one question: what is the one thing that scares me the most today? And I would go do it. And it didn't matter if it made sense logically. It didn't matter if it was business related or if it was relationship related. It didn't matter. I picked the one thing that scared me the most. I called it my big cojones action. Every single morning I woke up and I went and did the one scariest thing that I could find. It was, quitting my job. It was ending a relationship, a 3-year relationship that wasn't serving me. It was telling friends that I'd been friends with for years that we couldn't be friends anymore because the friendship wasn't serving me. It was turning down a 6-figure income job, even though I was 2 weeks away from not making rent. It was literally everything that could possibly scare someone I said yes to. And in that process, I became the person that I needed to become to deserve the business and the impact that I truly wanted to have.
Man, that's real powerful. Thanks for sharing. You've got so many books behind you, and I can't imagine how many books you have inside of Audible, by the way, but you still have books behind you, by the way. I mean, those are real books. It looks like those are real books behind you.
They're real books, yes.
They're real books. And so,
but I've read most of them.
Okay, well, that's fine. You got enough more to read and you have more time. My question would be, of all the books you read, right? And this is a real cool question, but of all the books you read, what's one book do you say, you know what, this book has some impact in my life? Now, I know they all have. I get it. And you got to take the Bible. That's not a book, right? You've got to take Napoleon Hill off the table. And so, there's got to be some other books out there that you may have read along this journey. What's the book and what impact has it had on you?
Yeah, so I would say probably the book that comes to mind for me, because you're right, there's a ton of them, but the one that comes to me as being probably the most impactful, at least in recent history, is Jack Canfield's Success Principles. Mm-hmm. So Jack's a personal mentor of mine and a good buddy, and it was actually that book that caused me to quit my job just around 4 years ago and start my entrepreneurial journey. So I got to give a shout out to Jack and everything he's done for sure.
Oh, man, that's super cool, man. I certainly appreciate that. What do you do for fun? When you're not out saving the world, you're not out, doing what you're doing now. What does Zander even do for fun these days?
Oh, I'm kind of a face down in the sand on the beach type of person.
Yeah.
Playing with the puppy, hanging out with my wife. Enjoying stuff there. I do some rock climbing. I'm a big gym nut. But I'd say, for me, I'm a token beach bum. That's probably the most important thing in my life.
Where you're in San Diego, that's certainly the right place to be. We certainly appreciate that. Second to last question, and we'll allow you to have your closing comments as we get ready to close out. You talked about books, and now I just want to mention a mentor. And I know you've had so many along this journey of life, by the way. You mentioned Jim Rohn, you mentioned Jack Canfield. There's so many names out there, I'm sure. But if you had to pick one idea, forget the mentor's name, but one idea that's popping into your mind that you've learned from your mentor that you can pass on to the audience right now, and this is what they taught you, or this is what they told you, or this is what they shared with you, what would be that one idea, that one thought, that one idea?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the idea that caused me, the success principles was kind of the buildup. But the one idea that actually caused me to call my manager out of the blue and tell him that I was quitting. And it was a question that a mentor asked me a little over 4 years ago. He asked me, "What would you do if you couldn't fail?" And this is the title of my TED Talk as well. But it's, what would you do if you couldn't fail? And I think if you truly think about that question, what would you do if you couldn't fail? And you combine that with the idea that we only have one life, and every moment that we have is either on purpose or off purpose, and every moment off purpose is a moment wasted. You start to take every moment in this life a little bit more seriously.
Man, so true, so powerful. First, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show, man. You have a heart to give. You have a heart to serve. You've given the best ideas that you know right now, and what you've been implementing in your business and what you've been teaching your clients. Certainly, we thank you for that, man. I wish we had more time. We got to have you back on the show, by the way. Special shout out to April Ross at a time where people operate from a place of scarcity and they're holding, ideas or people and not wanting to share. She says, no, I'm a collaborator, and here's how you should collaborate, and here's someone that could add value. So I want to give a big shout out to April Ross. That's what collaborating is about. It's what partnerships is all about. It's about serving and giving. So thanks a lot, because without April Ross, there is no Zander here today, not in the amount of time that we were able to make it happen. So thanks a lot, April. You're a rock star. You're amazing. You're even more incredible than this guy on the other side, by the way. So thanks a lot. All right, Zander, with that being said, thanks a lot, man. I want to turn it over to you to have your final thoughts, your final comments to the audience, to inspire them, to encourage them, and tell them one more time, how can they best connect with you, man?
Absolutely. You can go to zanderfryer.com. So ZANDERFRYER.com. If you're really feeling fancy, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Zander Fryer. But zanderfryer.com is definitely the place to go.
God, that's cool. And what are your closing thoughts and closing ideas for those folks out there? These fiber optic lines are going to go off, okay? These lights won't be around, and they're going to have a computer and maybe a phone, and they got to do something. So what are your thoughts, ideas that you can share with them? And everyone is out there right now. Hit the share button, hit the like button. You can look right below the video. You can write, "Thank you, Zander," or we appreciate you, Zander, or "Great job, Zander." So what are your closing thoughts for the folks that are out there, my man?
Yeah, I think, for everybody, especially if you're a starting entrepreneur or really working towards getting your business up and running, entrepreneurship is not easy. Frankly, it's crazy. Anybody who decides to be an entrepreneur is a little bit off, and I applaud you for that. I think the most important thing that I can tell you is entrepreneurship is not easy. There's a lot of ups. There's a lot of downs. It is more of an emotional roller coaster than most of us ever signed up for, but in the end, it's worth it. So I would just say, just keep with your vision around where you're getting to and where you're going, and learn how to smile and enjoy the tough times. Because by the time you get to your goal, by the time you get to that vision, you're going to look back and you're going to love the journey you've been through. So just smile through it, enjoy it. You're going to have a blast. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. With that being said, you've been listening to the one and only Zander Fryer. I want you to know that as you're watching right now, that you are amazing. You're incredible. You've got greatness inside you. And for you, the best is still yet to come. You can build that coaching practice. For you, the best is still yet to come. You can be profitable, so you can serve and get paid at the same time. that today is your January 1st. You can make the change. It can happen for you, and that we believe in you. With that being said, for those folks who want to know who's making all that noise, who's shouting at the microphone, my name, by the way, is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember, time is long. It really is. Life, by the way, on the other hand, is very, very short. So we've got to live in the moment, and we got to make it count. With that being said, God bless. We wish you success. Thanks a lot, Zander. You're a rock star, man. We appreciate you, man. Peace to all of you out there. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hitting the share button. Thanks for connecting. We'll see you soon. We got to go. We're out. Promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Thank you. God bless.